Hey everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of Arketi Live in 25. I'm Jason Andrews, creative director over at Arketi Group. Hopefully you've heard of us, but if this is your first time, we are an integrated marketing and PR firm serving B2B technology companies. Today's conversation is all about B2B websites, but first, allow me to introduce my co-host for this episode, Elisa Steiner, the Chief Marketing Officer over at Cantaloupe. I've had the pleasure of partnering with her over the last several years on a variety of projects, one of which being Cantaloupe's website. Elisa is a B2B marketer through and through, and we could not be more excited to have her joining us today. And while we don't want to tempt fate, I would like to call out that she was shortlisted for CMO of the Year in Gartner's Marketing and Communications Award. Elisa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jason. And I'm really excited to kind of unpack all the things around websites. So, looking forward to jumping in with you today.
Great. Quick reminder, we are live. So any viewers, if you have thoughts, reactions, or questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and hopefully we can tackle them in real time or at least maybe circle back during the wrap up if we miss anything. So I guess we can get started and talk about how modern marketers are turning their website into true growth engines. Today, website isn't just a brochure, it's obviously the first impression in your sales funnel. So it's a really vital part of your platform. So I guess some of our earlier conversations, we've hit on the idea that B2B websites, especially today, can serve as more than that static brochure. So what do you think, Elisa, is driving that shift in thinking to really utilizing a website as a tool?
Yeah, I think the website now, digital presence online is becoming so critical to just how to operate as any business, small or large, right? If you're an entrepreneur getting started, it really is the front door to the sales process, is the way I think we need to look at it. And I think historically, people used to think about the website was just like some marketing collateral and like, oh, it's like a checkbox. Well, it's not a checkbox anymore. It's something that, and I think we'll talk about like agility around the website that really is so critical to be nimble, to adjust, to shift, because at the end of the day, it needs to educate, qualify, and convert. I mean, that's really what it needs to do. And potentially do it all without ever having the person talk to a sales rep. So I think that's where our website is becoming so critical to the entire kind of business growth strategy. And it's that foundational piece that really can help you scale your business too. If you think about how do I eliminate headcount or being able to potentially have to hire more and more bodies just to take on inquiries, when maybe marketing and the website can actually serve as the pre-qualifier and filtering some of that out through automation as well coming out of the website, that really helps to kind of streamline that process and become kind of this growth engine that allows you to scale faster ultimately.
Yeah. So in creating that growth engine, how do you approach telling a story through a website? So how do you get your messaging across with that? I mean, often there's a balance there, but what do you think marketers can really do effectively as far as storytelling in a website?
Yeah, I think historically we used to always think it was fun to use like marketing, like clever language, right? And it's like, oh,
Yes.
I got really clever. Look at what I came up for the headline of this page, right? When ultimately it actually made no sense to the buyer or the prospective buyer, right? So I think it starts with now it's all about getting in the mindset of your buyer, understanding who they are, what challenges they face every day, and what's keeping them up at night. If you can get to the core of that, that's where
Mhm.
then you should start by approaching your content, is how do you solve those issues for them? And leaning into clarity and specificity around how you do that. I think the clearer you are versus the more clever you
Yeah.
are, allows you to have this kind of one-to-one conversation without necessarily um, being like a real human having that conversation yet, right? Your website can
Yeah.
start to do that. So it's really, in my mind, it's like balancing that storytelling with then weaving in how the product solves that challenge for the customer and then naturally now maybe allowing them to go explore that product and what else it can do for them in their business.
Yeah, I think it's always great to upfront acknowledge that we understand there are pain points that you might be dealing with. And then that allows you to kind of fill in those gaps. Like, these might be your pain points. Here's how we can solve those. It's a quick dialogue. Even though it's one sided, it feels like it's a back and forth.
Yeah, and I think it's like, how do you talk to them, not at them, right?
Mhm.
It's like, I think getting like away from people feeling like they're being just sold to and they're not sure if they should trust you versus creating that what feels like an intimate conversation in a way that you understand them, you understand their business, and here's how I can support you to solve these
Yes.
challenges, or here's how I can help you grow, right? If you can do that effectively on your website, I think you've really flipped the script from like legacy ways of thinking of how you write content to actually getting into the mindset of that buyer.
Yeah, I agree. When you are talking to the buyer, how do you kind of work that filter? Is it primarily a function of the navigation, or are there ways to kind of lead the buyer through the journey at will through the structure of how you kind of lay out your pages and your content?
Gosh, I think the website is just such a powerful engine, to be honest. Like there's
Mhm.
so many levers you can use. But I do think it all starts with the navigation. I think at the end of the day, if people come to your website and they don't see off the bat how you can help them or support them or even know who they are, or they're confused by what's even listed on the main nav, they're just going to leave, right?
Yeah.
And so when we did our website rebuild, we really took a step back and we said our old way of doing our website was let's use fancy language and let's talk to the enterprise client. Well, guess what? As we researched, like we have 30,000 customers that are small business out of give or take our 33,000 customers, right? And so most of the people that marketing was generating from a lead gen perspective was the small business coming to our website. We said we got to really simplify. If you understand who we are, maybe you know how to get to our solutions so you can go to the solutions themselves.
Yeah.
But if you have no clue what we do and how we can help your business, we're going to make it really crystal clear of like, here's the different business types that we help. And then once you click on that page, it's the how do we help you solve your business challenges, right? And even in the sense of like the clarity around the business type for us, like we used to use broader terms, but I don't think they resonated with people. And so we said when we went to the nav changes, it's okay if we have more in the business types, but let's make them really clear, right?
Mhm.
And I think that became like fundamental into just where do they start? And then from there, when they go to the pages themselves, it's again taking them through that journey of how do we understand who they are? What are the core problems that they're facing? How do we solve those problems? Are there customers just like them that saw and reaped the benefits that they could, right? And then like, hey, talk to us. Like, I mean, at the
Yeah.
simplest way of describing it, and that's just like one experience. Then you talk about layering on things like chatbots and stuff that create personalization and all of those elements, I think, create that more one to one feel, even though at the end of the day, it's the website that they're interacting with, or it's the bot on the website that they're interacting with at that time. And they're still not quite talking to a human just yet.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's really the idea of delivering a clear message, not necessarily a clever message. You want to make sure that, especially those new audiences that you mentioned that might not know your breadth of products or the details behind your software and your solutions, can still get the initial impression that they need to dig deeper.
Yeah. I think people forget like when you think about what you're drafting and content on the pages and stuff, like you said, it's about clarity and reducing friction. And I think friction is so critical, and I think people sometimes forget that. It's like, okay, I can be clear, but like reduce where there's any ambiguity of like what you do, how you do
Mhm.
it, to solve their challenges, right? Like really help leaning into who they are and then how you can solve that and the clarity around that, I think ultimately sets you up for success.
Yeah, great. I know we're talking about clarity, and something that I admire and think you guys did really well with your new site launch is how you were very specific with your global reach and creating these various entities for both EMEA and LATAM. And could you talk a little bit about that and, the value of localization, especially with international reach?
Yeah, there's really two ways to approach it, right? In our mind, we were like, okay, do we just make one corporate website and then we indicate on certain pages maybe how we can use this solution for EMEA, or we overload our payment device and point of sale terminals pages with all of our solutions, right? But that in the day, like getting back to like who are we talking to? That's not really helping anybody. It's not helping our domestic clients. It's also for sure not helping our international. And if you think back to how do we make them feel we're creating this one-to-one relationship, for us, it was we want to make sure that we have this really localized feel when you go to our UK EMEA site, when you go to our Mexico LATAM site. And elements that became important to us was back to the navigation, there are different product offerings and our products work differently in those geographic regions. So, really having kind of the ability to, once you pick your country on the right main nav at the top, it actually all updating and tailoring it to even the images, even the
Mhm.
word usage, right? Like instead of S's using Z's, like it vice versa. Like that's different in UK versus like British English versus US English. And then with Mexico and LATAM, it was like the whole thing needs to be in Mexican Spanish, right? And being able to make sure that the whole site is translated for them. But again, for us, fundamentally, like those countries are very different too. There's a very distinct way in which the tone is different in the UK. It's more, I would say, I don't want to say serious, but professional. Don't use 1,000 exclamation points like
Yeah.
Americans do. And in Mexico, they love visual imagery, and the imagery needs to be representative to their culture. And so we were like, we have to do a photo shoot in Mexico at our office to make sure we're implementing that same look and feel. Because if there's a disconnect that is extremely clear across that region, I think then they truly do feel like you are masking or pretending that you can solve my issues when maybe you really don't understand me. And that's
It,
that's definitely not the path we wanted. So we really looked at it holistically and then leveraged kind of the customization that your team helped us build in. Once you click that country, you're getting that personal one-to-one experience for what we do for you in your region, and it's been very effective for us.
yeah, it's creating that personal feel. Like we are thinking about you as a consumer, and you're not a second thought.
Right.
Um, it's way to hook someone in a little bit more, make them feel that love that everyone wants to, that individualization that you want to give them. You talked a lot about with those different international sites, also the ability to customize. So obviously, in the title of our session today is the Agile website. What does that mean to you, and what does Agile mean as far as being able to update and customize?
Yeah, it's funny. I thought about this and I was like, gosh, that means we can make a tweak every day of the week, no matter what, right? Like, but
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. For us, it was important. Like the usability of the back end is game changing for my
Mhm.
team. And it's not like I've got a, we've run a lean marketing team. It's not like I got people sitting on the sidelines waiting to just like do website coding, right? And that's definitely not the kind of challenges we wanted to create for our team, right? But it's like you want great usability for the person experiencing the visitor on your site, and then you want great usability for your team on the back end
Mhm.
so that we can honestly, any given moment, stand up a landing page for a specific campaign, drop in the content, swap out imagery as we do new photo shoots or video shoots. Like all of that flexibility is so seamless for my team, and I joke about daily tweaks and updates or
Yeah.
rolling out blogs or whatever it might be, articles, and my team can do that. And I mean, I would say every week we're doing things on the website. So, agility to us is like a day-to-day function here on our website, and it became critical. And that was a lot of why, when we talked with your team about, do we rebuild? A lot of it was like we need it to be more user friendly for our team,
Mhm.
and also just all the other bonuses of mobile friendly for our visitors. So many other aspects of why we rebuilt
Yeah.
the whole site, but a lot of it was just even a foundational structure of how it was created in the past to where it needed to go.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's because not everyone, even if it's a set schedule, like a cadence of updates, nowadays, since websites are pretty much the face of a company, right? Being able to have those small tweaks and updates so it's not a stale um, place, so that it looks like you're paying mind to it and you're engaging with consumers back and forth, I think is very important. So users, oh, something's new, let me dig a little more. Like if you
Right.
can get that extra second on a page or an extra click into the site, that's always beneficial.
Yeah. Speed is like key these days in like marketing's world, right? And so
Mhm.
us being able to, on a given moment, make that new page for a new product offering that or a new vertical that we're able to go after, we absolutely need that flexibility. And so our site today has really given us that, which has been great.
Great. So I know obviously a website is a sales tool, but I know Cantaloupe also incorporates in their shop to the website. So how does that help you and your nimble team, especially kind of taking that load off of your sales team and getting those easy transactions
Mhm.
done?
Yeah, even when we looked at the website rebuild, we said, how do we drop in the ability to buy now in as
Mhm.
many appropriate places as possible?
Yeah.
Um, because before it was actually like there'd be like a couple of clicks before you got to it. And
Yeah.
now we've made it pretty seamless. Like you go to the device page, you don't need to see the specs on a card reader. You could actually just click and go shop the online store. And our
Yeah.
online store is a huge revenue driver for the marketing team. And it's allowed us to really kind of almost 3x historically when it used to just be an accessories online store. And my team has done an amazing job and really revamping it, one, but also making it more optimized to be able to really be kind of this ability for marketing to drive pure revenue without ever talking to a sales rep. And at the end of the day, for our small kind of initial buyer or entrepreneur that's just getting started, needs a couple of devices, or even the repeat customer that just needs a few extra things because they are placed in more locations, it's been a game changer for the sales team. And so we really leaned into how we continue to add more and more capabilities into our store to help on offsetting kind of that headcount effect, right?
Yeah.
Can only keep adding so many bodies when you've got 30,000 clients sitting in that kind of segment. You got to figure out other ways to kind of optimize their buying cycles.
No, completely agree. That's the beauty of having a super easy to use website where you can really customize and not have to lean on those outside sources and the larger teams.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
With your new site and the setup, what is your favorite kind of feature or capability or something that you would recommend for other marketers as a must have when kind of looking at that new build or update to an existing site?
Gosh, my favorite feature capability. Um, Man, I just love our site. So I think ultimately I would probably say, honestly, the localization for us has been game
Mhm.
changing. Um, and I think that we envisioned it to kind of sit the way we wanted to do it, but to see it come to life, it has served us, I think, tenfold for our regional sales teams
Yeah.
that clearly just have different ways of talking about our product. And I don't know, I mean, I assume a lot of other B2B companies might be in similar boats where their product offerings are just different in Europe versus in the US. And ours are very different, and especially as we've done acquisitions, they continue to be more and more different. And so
Mhm.
I think for us, my favorite thing is really just how well we've executed that localization and the flexibility there to continue to do that. We're currently, right now, building out the pages for one of our acquisitions we did back in September
Yeah.
on the software side, and we're getting ready to kind of launch that in June. So, again, at like ability to do it, our
Yeah.
team can do it. We don't rely on developers to do it, which is awesome. But secondarily, like that localization effect, it creates less complexity and goes back to the clarity piece I talked about
Mhm.
for each country, which is so critical in my mind that we do and we do well so that we can convert more and more people on the site. So that's what comes to mind first is kind of being that I think really game changer that was very different from where we sat, a year plus ago to where we sit today.
Yeah, absolutely. And bottom line, anything that can help you drive those conversions is probably the most valuable part of the site,
Right.
right? So,
Right. Other than
um,
having a beautiful site.
well, yeah, obviously aesthetics are a huge play, right? You
Those are
want someone to
great.
be like, "Oh my God, this is gorgeous.
Yes.
Let me hang out a little bit more and explore." Well, I think, we've kind of touched on the agility, the localization, the specialization, and the tools. So I think we're kind of there, and we'll keep it to make people a little happy and not drag on and start to ramble a little bit. But I want to thank everyone again who joined us for today's edition of Arketi Live in 25. We appreciate you spending some of your day with us. Um, Again, if you have any follow-up questions or thoughts, feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to keep the conversation going. And this is an ongoing series. So keep an eye out for our next episode as we dive deep into the world of B2B marketing and public relations. Again, I'd like to thank Elisa for joining us and taking some time out of her day. Love your insight and your opinion and your feedback on the site. So I guess until next time, thanks again. And we'll see you at the next Arketi Live.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.